The courtroom buzzed with laughter as the young black lawyer stood at the defense table, clutching his notes. One prosecutor leaned back and said, loud enough for all to hear, "Kid, this isn't a college debate. This is real court." Another whispered, "Does he even know how to file a motion?" The judge smirked, tapping his gavel. "Son, are you sure you're in the right courtroom?" Every word was meant to humiliate him, but instead of breaking, he straightened his tie, opened his file, and began to speak. And within minutes, every laugh turned into stunned, guilty silence. Stay tuned, because what happens next inside that courtroom will leave everyone speechless, as this young lawyer turns humiliation into the most powerful courtroom comeback ever witnessed. Every eye turned toward the young man walking in tailored suit, law books under his arm, confidence in his step, yet a hint of nervous fire in his eyes. Ethan Miles, 22, the youngest defense attorney ever to stand trial in this county. Whispers rippled through the benches. A senior prosecutor leaned over to his colleague and chuckled. "Is this take your kid to work day?" The judge smirked, lowering his glasses. "Mr. Miles," he said with a mocking tone, "this court expects professionalism, not a school presentation." Laughter filled the room. Ethan stood still, jaw tight, absorbing every word, every smirk. But behind his calm face, a storm brewed, quiet, focused, dangerous. The trial began. The prosecution strutted forward with the arrogance of experience. "Your Honor," sneered Assistant District Attorney Cole, "the defense is represented by someone who probably still studies from YouTube lectures." The courtroom erupted again. Even the stenographer hid a smile. Ethan opened his file, his hands steady, his voice firm. "Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant and disrespectful." The judge sighed, pretending to hide a grin. "Overruled." "Continue." The insult stung, but Ethan didn't flinch. He began presenting evidence, yet each time he spoke, someone interrupted, questioned, or mocked. They wanted him to break, to look foolish, and for a moment, he almost did. His throat tightened, his hands trembled, until he looked over at his client, a single mother, desperate for justice. That was his reason to stand tall. When the prosecutor began cross-examining, Ethan quietly flipped through his documents, a calm rhythm beneath the chaos. Then suddenly, he stood up. "Objection, Your Honor. Prosecution is misleading the court." The judge frowned. "On what grounds?" Ethan stepped forward, voice clear and sharp. "On the grounds that the prosecution has failed to disclose key evidence under Brady v. Maryland, a direct violation of due process." The courtroom froze. Cole blinked. The judge's smile vanished. Ethan pulled out a printed document, a time-stamped email showing the prosecution had withheld a critical witness statement. Gasps spread through the gallery. "Would you like me to read it aloud, Your Honor?" Ethan asked firmly. The judge leaned back, silent. The same people who laughed moments ago now stared, speechless. Ethan's calm voice echoed across the room. "Maybe I'm young, maybe I'm black, maybe I'm new here, but I still know the law, and I stand for the truth." The camera would zoom in on Cole's trembling hand as the judge cleared his throat awkwardly, muttering, "Court will recess for 10 minutes. Ethan returned to his seat, unshaken, his silence louder than any applause. The judge re-entered, trying to mask the unease on his face. Prosecutor Cole avoided eye contact, his confidence now cracked. The crowd whispered. They had never seen the mighty district attorney cornered by someone so young. Ethan Miles sat quietly at the defense table, his pen tapping a slow rhythm. His client, trembling beside him, whispered, "Are we winning?" Ethan looked at her and said softly, "We're not here to win. We're here to prove the truth." Those words carried weight. Across the room, Cole's assistant hissed under his breath, "Let's destroy this kid before he ruins the case." But deep down, they knew the rookie had already shifted the power of the courtroom. "Defense may cross-examine," the judge announced. Ethan stood, adjusting his jacket, his eyes locked on the prosecution's star witness, Officer Bradley, a cop with a clean badge but dirty hands. "Officer," Ethan began calmly, "how long have you served?" 15 years, the man replied proudly. "And how long have you been fabricating police reports?" The courtroom gasped. The judge slammed the gavel. "Watch your tone, counselor." Ethan didn't blink. "Your Honor, the defense has proof of false statements and omitted evidence." He placed another file on the desk. The screen behind him flickered as he displayed a surveillance clip showing the officer at a diner with the prosecutor, the same day the report was supposedly written. The timestamp didn't lie. Murmurs spread. Cole stood up shouting, "This is irrelevant." Ethan shot back, "No, this is the law, and you can't twist it." His voice carried the weight of a man far older than his years. Every word sliced through the air like a verdict itself. The courtroom that once mocked him now leaned forward, eyes wide, hearts pounding. The judge removed his glasses, rubbing his temples. "Mr. Miles," he said softly, "you've made serious allegations against an officer of the law." Ethan stepped forward, holding his ground. "No, Your Honor, I'm making a statement for justice. The truth is not an allegation, it's evidence, waiting to be seen." He handed over the final document, an official signed statement from a retired detective confirming the report was falsified. The judge scanned the papers, his expression shifting from doubt to discomfort. The gallery fell silent. Cole's arrogance dissolved completely. He whispered to his assistant, "How did he get that?" Ethan looked directly at him and said, "You underestimated me, Mr. Cole. You thought the color of my skin defined my competence. But I let my facts speak louder than your bias." No one dared to laugh now. The judge cleared his throat, visibly shaken. "This court will take a short recess to review this new evidence," he said. As the gavel struck, the crowd erupted. Reporters rushed out, cameras flashing. The young lawyer, who was once a joke, had just shaken the entire foundation of the courtroom. Ethan gathered his papers quietly, eyes steady, heart calm. He didn't smile. Justice wasn't a victory for him. It was a duty fulfilled. The next morning, the courtroom was packed beyond capacity. News crews filled the back rows. Microphones lined the hallway. Everyone wanted to witness the final round, Ethan Miles versus the system itself. The judge entered, expression tight. The same prosecutors who once laughed now sat in quiet shame. Ethan stood at the defense table, calm as ever. His client gripped his hand, whispering, "No matter what happens, thank you." Ethan nodded, eyes locked on the bench. The judge cleared his throat. Mr. Miles, you may proceed with your closing argument. Ethan rose slowly. Your Honor, he began, this isn't just about one woman accused of a crime. This is about the kind of justice we allow in this courtroom. Justice that mocks youth, silences truth, and judges color before character. Every word cut through the air like thunder. You could hear a pin drop. Ethan stepped toward the jury box, voice steady but burning with conviction. When I walked into this courtroom, people laughed. Not because I broke the law, but because I dared to stand here while young and black. I was told I didn't belong, but the law, Your Honor, doesn't belong to those who mock it. It belongs to those who believe in it. He pointed at the prosecution table. The law is not a weapon of pride. It's a shield of truth. The camera would pan across the faces in the courtroom, the prosecutors looking down, the judge frozen, the audience moved to tears. Ethan continued, I studied the Constitution not to memorize rules, but to defend those who never get heard. And today, I stand here not as a symbol of defiance, but as proof that justice doesn't wear a color and truth doesn't need permission to speak. When he finished, the entire courtroom sat silent, not out of respect, but out of realization. The same people who mocked him now couldn't lift their heads. The judge's gavel struck once, echoing through the hall. In light of new evidence and the misconduct revealed by the defense, this court finds the defendant not guilty. Gasps erupted. Reporters shouted questions. The client burst into tears, clutching Ethan's hand. The judge hesitated, then said quietly, Mr. Miles, you've reminded this court what justice truly means. Ethan simply nodded and began packing his files. Cole, the prosecutor, approached him slowly. You made your point, he muttered, almost in awe. Ethan looked at him and replied, it was never about making a point. It was about making it right. As he walked out of the courtroom, flashes from cameras filled the air. The same crowd that once laughed now cheered. But Ethan didn't look back, because for him, the real victory wasn't in the verdict, but in proving that no prejudice can silence the truth when spoken with courage. Sometimes, the youngest lawyer in the room teaches justice its oldest lesson: never underestimate the one who stands for truth. And if you thought this courtroom battle was over, think again, because justice always finds its next case.